Hey everybody. Hey everybody. This is Gabe, aka the other guy, and welcome to World Outside the Ring once again. So yeah, I know we've we've been gone for a while, Matt and I, but here we are. Here I am back again, and yeah, Matt was sick today, so he could not do the Beantown Beatdown. So I'm doing my segment here instead. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about what it means to put your best foot forward. This is also something I can't believe I haven't talked about yet. And yeah, you say it in the real world, you say it in fighting. Put your best foot forward. In fighting, it's kind of literal. You literally have to be positioned well enough. And stuff like fighting and gymnastics and whatever else, you have to, know which foot you're putting the weight on, so that's literal. Put your best foot forward, but then figuratively, you put your best foot forward as well, because you have to present your best self, and that's what that means. So I was, the reason I decided to do this today is because I actually had a kind of dispute about something at work, and I was realized I was going to meet with the general manager, and see if I couldn't argue my case. And so I realized that there are certain things that my case was lacking. There are certain reasons that my case was there was some reason where it was partly my fault. But basically, I was like, okay, I have to gather my good points, and make sure that my good points are what I accentuate. And this is what we all have to do. We're going up against someone that's more influential than us, and that's basically it's unfair that we have to do this in the modern day. I have to do this for in our work, but it happens a lot. They will undermine the employees if they can. So you as an employee have to represent yourself sometimes. And and you're not a lawyer. You're not, what I mean? I'm not a lawyer, but I've known some lawyers, and stuff like that. But yeah, basically, so it's like, how do I, as one employee, put my best foot forward here? The first thing is try and figure out what your strongest arguments are. I had to kind of figure that out. That yes, I might not have informed someone of something, in time, like within the time frame that they said. But okay, the first argument, I didn't know about that time frame. I didn't know that I would be blocked from this just because of the time frame. I thought that I did have to inform them. Period. And I didn't know that that I would be cut off because of a time frame. And so none of this, well, it should happen anyway, and that type of thing. When I didn't inform them within their time frame, that's their strongest argument, is that, oh well, there's this time frame, you have to inform us within it. But so I have to then go with my strongest argument, which is not, oh well, I didn't do it within the time frame, but please give it to me anyway. No. I have to be like, I did not know about this time frame. And also I was gonna start having to look into policies and things like that. It was like, oh god, and am I gonna have to look through all the policies and figure out if this was if they actually laid out this time frame. And then if they didn't, that's my strongest argument. They did not lay out this time frame within the policies. So I had already called one, HR representative. I was going to do it again and be like, I need you to tell me, whether or not this is laid out, because I looked online, I couldn't find it in the policies. So that would be my strongest argument, is that, how am I expected to know this time frame if it's not laid out in the policies, and if even, an HR representative who has to know about these things, did not know about these things. So how am I expected to know that? And so then anyway, that was my strongest argument. That was my best foot, is to argue from that, to be like, you can't do this. It's unfair, because how am I supposed to know that I have to inform someone during this time frame, if the time frame's not laid out? The rest of the policy is laid out, but if the time frame's not there, then you cannot block me from it just because I was outside of the time frame that I didn't know about. Anyway, so stuff like that, is where you have to put your best foot forward. So they because again, they will have their best arguments, and especially when talking to a supervisor or something like that, they will have their best argument, so you have to bring your best argument. They have this laid out. They have dealt with this before, and they will steamroll you if you let them. This goes for a lot of things in life. They will steamroll you, and they have thought out these things much more than you have, because you have your life. We all have our lives. We're all freaking busy, and they have thought about this, and prepared for this more than you have. So you have to put your best foot forward, literally and figuratively, and basically find your best argument and keep on that. The other thing is, they will push you back towards your worst argument. They will push you back towards your weak spots. So in negotiations as well. Let's say you want to negotiate for a new job. Or whatever, you're negotiating about your promotion. They will say, well, there are these concerns that we've had because of this, and that, right? And so you have to say, but I have done this, and that, see what I mean? So they will throw out, again, your worst arguments towards you, and or the things that they're concerned about, or that they say they're concerned about. They will throw that out at you, and so you have to be ready with, no, actually steer the conversation back towards, no, I've actually done this, I've actually done these other things that are very good, that show that I can, if we're talking about promotion, I've done these other things that show that I can do this job. So that, and this will happen all the time. So yes, always put your best foot forward, and like I said, in fighting, it's literal, but it's also kind of figurative in fighting as well. You have to, part of it is the trash talk, is the intimidation, and that's the other thing. I was going to wear, very my best clothes for this conversation. So, because then that's also presenting in my best light as well. So same thing in fighting. You have to find the way that you can kind of throw them off and intimidate them, and at least present yourself as as prepared, as ready, as intimidating. So it's like we do the same thing figuratively. I was going to put on my best clothes, and then and go up to my manager and say, can I talk to you, alone in the office? That's other things I've called, but it's like, on a call, it's much more easy for them to brush you off or be like, okay, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not talking about this anymore. And they can hang up, and all this other stuff. So, it's so much harder to ignore in person. So that's, and they might be, even though they're more powerful, I think this also comes up in fighting as well. Even though they seem more powerful, they might be more of a coward, really. And so you have to use that to your advantage as well. So, so I was going to show up in person, and in my best clothes, and ask to see them privately. And basically that, all of those things, throws them off, even though, like I said, they're much more prepared for this argument. They're much more, versed in, in like these things that you did and didn't do and whatever else. They're much more versed in dealing with, with employees and all that type of thing, and trying to brush aside employees, and whatever. So they're much more versed in that. So you have to be able to bring to show that you're prepared for it and bring your A game and throw them off their game from the beginning. So that's what happens in fighting as well. And sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes that really just wins the day. So that's what I have to say about that. Keep putting your best foot forward. Keep finding your best argument, and thank you, everybody. Matt and I will be back soon. Catch us this time next week, Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern for our re-debut of the Beantown Beatdown. All right, thanks. See you then.